Hi everyone, this is Dr. Nitin Choda with Ignition Time and welcome to my channel. I'm still waiting for news from House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and US Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin. Hopefully they'll come to an agreement. We'll find out. I'll let you know what happens. I'll give you the truth. I won't give you any false hope. As usual, as you've come to expect from me, and I work hard to continue building on that trust because I'll never ever take your trust for granted. My name is Dr. Nitin Choda with Ignition Time and welcome to my channel. If you don't know anything about me, just take a minute to check out my video. You'll learn more about who I am, what my journey has been like, and why you should listen to me. Speaking of listening, I do want to give a lot of credit to the Problem Solvers Caucus bill because even though in the past, the Problem Solvers Caucus never really solved a problem, I think it's fair to say that the framework that they provided essentially got the White House to come back to the table with a $1.62 trillion offer to House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, who did consider it. And right now, I think the two sides are essentially getting closer and closer, although there is no deal yet. In my opinion, this thing could go either way. I think we are at a tipping point, and I hope that there's a stimulus package because I want help for those who need it the most. This is a K-shaped recovery. Some of us are really struggling and suffering, whereas others have just kind of moved on and forgotten about everybody else, which is really sad and ironic. And I'm hoping that there can be a stimulus package. But let's get back to the Problem Solvers Caucus. The bill that they proposed, which was something that the Democrats initially rejected, it was embraced by the White House, so much so that the US Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin came back to Speaker Pelosi with a $1.62 trillion proposal, which included $1,200 stimulus checks, which, by the way, both sides agree on, $500 per adult dependent, $400 a week in unemployment benefits, retroactive to the 12th of September, because the period from the 1st of August to the 12th of September is approximately 6 weeks, which presumably should be covered by the Lost Wages Assistance Program. That was a rationale from the administration in proposing that. So it created the contours of something that is now being discussed. Now, I just want to be clear, the Lost Wages Assistance Program, unfortunately, was not received by everybody. So those who didn't get the Lost Wages Assistance Program money for the 6 weeks after the end of July, when the $600 a week booster expired, there is no provision to help those individuals at this moment in time, unfortunately. And I hope there is, and I hope that one of the sides sort of fights for it and it happens. But it's right now, so many things are happening so quickly that it seems like those individuals, in other words, individuals who got less than $100 a week in unemployment benefits, are not, and who didn't receive the $300 a week Lost Wages Assistance Program booster, they are essentially not going to get anything for that 6-week period, assuming that this bill indeed becomes a reality. I hope that changes. I will report to you if it does. But the thing that I wanted to report to you in this video was lawmaker Tom Reed. He's a Republican congressman from New York, and he's one of the leads at the Problem Solvers Caucus. And he was interviewed, and I think he said some things that I was really encouraged with. Let me be clear. I think the Problem Solvers Caucus has essentially created a scenario where both sides are back at the table. And if this does indeed happen, I think they deserve a lot of credit. I think that, we should show our appreciation for them if indeed this does happen. But let's get back to Tom Reed, again, Republican congressman from New York. And I'll show you a segment where he was interviewed on CNBC today. This just happened, and he was asked, what are the chances of a deal? What is the probability that a stimulus agreement will indeed happen between House Speaker Pelosi and US Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin? And he said that he was still optimistic. He said that there are good signs and a compromise can indeed be reached. So this is what he felt. Let's watch what he said.
Tom Reed of New York is co-chair of the Problem Solvers Caucus. And Congressman, it's great to have you here. What is your expectation for the passage of a COVID relief bill this year?
I'm still optimistic because the American people need it. There is still need for targeted relief across America. And the good news is what we were trying to do on the Problem Solvers Caucus at its heart is show that you could have a bipartisan deal. And most importantly, to get the stakeholders back in the room. And with Steven Mnuchin talking with the speaker, that is one of our ultimate goals. And they're having good faith, substantive conversations, is my understanding. And we're continuing to work with the White House. So these are good signs that there's a compromise still yet to be had.
So that's a good thing. That's how things are supposed to be. Now, in the next segment of the interview, Tom Reed was specifically asked about the urgency. How important is it to do a deal right now? And he rightly said, now is the time to do a deal. And he's hopeful that a deal can indeed happen. So let's roll the tape and see what he had to say about that.
We were just having this discussion, but what do you think the odds are of aid for the restaurant industry in particular and the movie industry as well?
I think there's a need across all spectrums, not just particular industries like restaurants and live venues, movies, what have you, airlines and others. But you also look at small businesses. You look at the individuals that have lost their jobs. And so that's why this need is significant. And the Paycheck Protection Program also has shown success. We need another round of that. And we need to get through this cliff because we're not going to get a deal, in my humble opinion, on December 11th. Because the chaos after the election is still going to be there, and the animosity between the two sides is going to be greater than now. Now is the time to do the deal, and we just encourage our leadership as well as the folks in the Senate. Let's get this done because we don't know what's going to happen, and don't bank on the fact that after the election you're going to be able to give relief to the American people because I don't see it. Now is the time to get it done for the people back home.
I agree with him when he said there is a need across all spectrums, specifically small businesses, because small businesses have been impacted significantly as a result of this pandemic. Travel, leisure, entertainment, hospitality, hotels. These are the industries that have been very, very badly impacted. There is indeed a need across all spectrums. In fact, I would go so far as to say there is a need for certain spectrums more than others. There is indeed a need. And in fact, I believe that if both sides can work together, if both sides can put the needs of the American people first, then both sides can come to an agreement. Ironically, that's exactly what he said. That's exactly what Tom Reed said. Let's roll the tape and see what he had to say about this.
What are the biggest sticking points, the areas of aid where it's only one party or only the other who pretty much wants to move forward?
Well, I don't think that's necessarily, it's one or the other, but, there's been contention about unemployment insurance that, people getting more money off of work and on unemployment. Then also the issue of state and local aid obviously has been a contentious issue. But what we did in the Problem Solvers Caucus is that you can work that out if you actually listen to each other and come to a reasonable conclusion. And so I think we've demonstrated with 50 members, 25 Democrats, and I co-chaired on the Republican side with 25 Republicans, you can do it because we got well over 75% consensus to issue that Problem Solver Caucus seal of endorsement. And I will tell you, you can work through this if you put the American people's interests first, and that's what it's all about.
So he said we can work things out if we put the needs of the American people first, and he's absolutely correct. In fact, I believe that something needs to be done immediately. Otherwise, there could be permanent damage to the economy. Otherwise, some businesses could shut down permanently. In fact, this is already happening. A lot of businesses in your community are closing down, never to be opened again. I've talked about my favorite sushi place, one of our favorite diners, just completely closed, probably never going to open again because the damage is so extreme that some businesses will be closed forever. In fact, this is specifically what Tom Reed said. He said, doing nothing will do more long-term damage to the economy when he was specifically asked, hey, how do we balance the need for more stimulus with the concerns about long-term debt, with the concerns about inflation, with the concerns about the weakening of our currency if we just print and pump in trillions of dollars into the system. And he correctly said that doing nothing will lead to more long-term damage. Let's deal with the short-term problem now and find a way in the future to deal with the long-term damage. If you want me to talk to you about how I think we can deal with the long-term impact of this extra money in the system, this of course is presuming there's a second stimulus package. I can talk to you about that. I definitely 100% feel that at some point taxes for the rich will have to be increased. There is no question about that, because how else is the US government going to make money? The money that we make, through duties and stuff like that is almost nothing. The US government gets a majority of its income from federal income taxes that you pay and that I pay. So I just want to be clear about that. In fact, I have done another video where I've talked about how the US government gets money and spends money. So you definitely want to check that out. But first, let's listen to what Tom Reed had to say specifically about doing something now to prevent long-term damage to the economy. Let's roll the tape.
How do you come down on the cost of this bill? I think even yours is $1.5 trillion. So tell me what you would tell those who say, Can we afford it on the deficit front? What's it doing to the national debt? How do you kind of offset that bill against the very great need right now?
Yeah, I look at the long-term picture. I mean, obviously, I'm very concerned about the national debt crisis. I'm very concerned about where we are positioned ourselves in regards to $26 trillion in national debt. But I got to tell you, doing nothing has dramatic consequences in regards to what it's going to do for long-term damage to the economy, with industries collapsing, with people going without. And so this investment I see as a necessary investment short-term. And then we look at what we did to rebuild the economy prior to COVID-19. You know, what President Trump did in regards to the growth that we saw, the huge amount of growth, we have the capacity and the productivity in the American economy to grow. And so we have to get through this crisis and then come out on the other side stronger. And then we'll take care of this deficit and this debt that clearly has to be addressed.
So that's it, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Dr. Nitin Chhoda with Ignition Time. I really, really, really appreciate you. Check out my video. You'll learn more about who I am, what my journey has been like, and why you should listen to me. I really appreciate you. We release videos at 2 p.m. East Coast time most days of the week. So please make sure you click like, you subscribe, you enable notifications so you get instant updates from our channel going forward. I would really appreciate that. You can also get your cell phone out, send a text message with the word ignition or with the word time to 70,000, that's 70000, and you can get added to our SMS list. You can also get on our email list. Go to ignitiontime.com/alerts. That's ignitiontime.com/alerts. You can get added to our email list. You can opt out of the SMS list or the email list at any point in time. No worries about that. Follow us on Instagram. Our Instagram handle is ignition_time. You'll get exclusive content specifically for our Instagram followers. You can also follow us on Twitter. Our Twitter handle is also ignition_time. You can get real-time alerts from us on Twitter. Now, YouTube doesn't always send out notifications, so make sure you bookmark youtube.com/ignition time. That's youtube.com/ignition time. This way you can bookmark our channel and you can watch our videos at any moment in time that you want at your convenience. You're not dependent on YouTube notifications. We release videos at 2 p.m. East Coast time most days of the week. Thank you so much. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next episode of Ignition Time. Take care. Bye.